like there's so much freaking noise out there, and I want to be less noisy than everything out there. And I'll punch, no opinion. Just here's
And
what
if
it
you can't
is.
punch someone, sometimes a flick works. So that was harder than I planned. Or you just take a pen and just throw it at them.
Flicks are harder. I remember when I was like bad and we were in public settings, like my mom would always flick my ear, and that hurts, man. So like, yeah, you're right. It could be a flick. It's a little flick in the right direction. That's what we're gonna call this.
Yeah, I remember the old day in the office or something like, hey, Jimmy. Oh, I think I put a hole in my monitor. Maybe I need to simulate that next time. Is there a virtual background where I can just kind of put in like a watermark and grab the M and throw it?
I don't know, but I should look into that though.
Kind of like a ninja star, right?
Is this how you start off your advisor calls? You're just like, hello.
Well,
I'm Matt.
that's how like the old school David Letterman did it, right? Like it's like, hey, wait a second, hold on. He goes in his desk. He's got his cue cards. 1 second. First tip of the day, who to hire. Second tip, who to hire. Third tip, who to hire. Who not to hire. Top 10 things to do. Top 10 things not to do. How many cards do you have in your deck? You want one idea? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't have a bunny or a hat, but this works too.
I love that this is your debut as my advisor. Everyone, meet my advisor, Matt. Just immediately goes into it.
Scan my QR code.
That was actually a QR code too. Do you want to give a little bit of a background on yourself and what you do? Because I feel like there's really nobody better that can introduce you than you.
Oh, certainly. One word, I'm a fixer. More than one word. I like fixing problems. What types of problems? Frankly, usually the ones that everyone else runs away from, I run to. The more challenging something gets, I am unique in that the more interested I get. I'm a strategic startup advisor, so I tend to focus on a lot of problems in small businesses, SaaS companies, software as a service companies, although it doesn't have to be. I literally have a client in construction. I have a client in finance. They come from all over the place because they know I don't shy away from challenges regardless of what they look like. Because at their core, every company has functional departments. Every company needs to generate money. And I had one executive say to me recently, for example, like, oh, you were working in the enterprise space for almost 2 decades, in finance for a long time. Startup world's so different, right? And I'm like, not really. How's it the same? And I'm like, just scale, right? Your problem is times 5 million. Their problem is times 10 or 50 or 1,000. You have 50,000 people. They have 5. The 50,000 people are organized in departments, finance, accounting, operation, sales. The founder, the parts of his brain are organized, or her brain, into departments wearing the different hats. Oh, I'm a marketer for the next 20 minutes. Now I'm a salesperson for the next 20 minutes. Now I'm the finance person in QuickBooks for the next 20 minutes. Now I am a social media expert or aspiring one for the next 20 minutes, right? All the departments are there. It's just a matter of whose heads that they're falling into.
That's true.
And so when you start to look at it like that, you're like, hey, it doesn't matter where you work. It's just maybe more stakeholdery in a larger company. Not a different conversation. It's just the same one with more people. Not different problems, but you save a second in an enterprise, it might be $1 million worth of savings. You save a second in a startup, maybe it's a few $100s. But the way to save the second, and the tools you use, and the process and approach you use is the same. The multiplier is different.
That's true.
Right? Like I could sneeze out $1 million of savings out of a Fortune 500 company. I could put on a blindfold with a stick, and it's like a piñata. I can just swing. Eventually, it's just stuff's going to fall out. I call them, piñata opportunities, because you literally start swinging the candy, the money, the savings just starts rolling out. And the larger the company, the bigger the piñata is, and the bigger the bat.
So as a strategic startup advisor, do you have a preference on like what type of problems that you fix, or do you just kind of like to evolve and take on, like, how do you categorize what problems you want to take on since you work with a large scale of companies?
Well, it's not so much what problems I want to take on, it's what problems you have and other people have, because your problems become my problems. So whatever's a
Mm,
priority to you is a priority to me. Whatever's top of your list is top of my list. Frequently, your list will start off with this, and I'll put something else on top of it because I'll help find things that you don't see that are right under your nose. And it's literally like, I don't know, like, Matt, that's my biggest problem. I'm like, okay, we solved that. And I'm like, oh, there's something else right there that's next to solve. And you unblock it, and there's yet another thing there.
it never ends. There's always
Exactly.
something.
Right?
That's
But
true.
wherever you're looking, whatever you find, there's always somebody there to solve it.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Maybe we tackle like the first three AI tools that you would need to start your business. If we start there, because I think the nice little overlap between what you do and what I do is I teach people how to use AI to start businesses, and you advise them on not only how to start, but scale them sustainably. Where do we start with that? What would be your advice?
Start with the problem.
Okay.
Every person in every state of, I want to start a business, I have a business, I'm growing a business, wherever you are, owner, manager, employee, whatever your relationship is in the business world, start with the problem. Because when you start with the tool, it's like me putting a hammer in your hand saying, go find nails. It's dangerous because you don't find a nail, you're going to get bored and you're just going to start hitting screws. When you hit a screw with a hammer, it doesn't work so good because it's the wrong match. In the product world, we talk about problem, solution, fit. What's the problem? Oh, there's a screw, get a screwdriver, don't get a hammer. And that precedes should everything else. So what AI tools to use? First, what are the problems people face when they're starting a new business, Ashley?
Before we even get into like the problems that people run into when they're starting a business, do you actually see people, like, let's say for instance I tell you like here's the problem, or like here's all my issues, and you're like, okay, here's the problem, let's go find the tool. Do you actually think it's that simple? Like, are you seeing them move from point A to point B that quickly?
From here's the problem, go find the
From
tool.
Right.
So when we identify the things you need to do, right?
Mhm.
Some people don't like the word problem, so we say challenge. Some people don't like challenge, so we call it an opportunity. Some people don't like any of them, so they're the things we need to do. In my world, they're just synonyms for one another, right? So let's say we soften it and we say, here are the things you need to do. First, let's talk about ordering these in priority of the things both logically you need to do in this order, right? So for example, oh, I want to go get insurance for my company. Okay, would you have a company registered? No. Well, then what are you going to insure? Right?
Right.
Incorporate, then insure, for example, right? So some things, there's a logical sequence to it, right? And for these types of things that people go through, there are tools that we're going to get into to help you do some of these things. Some things that just make sense for a human mind to do. You don't need a tool for everything, right?
Mhm.
I love tools, I love tech, and I love gadgets. Probably more than most people do. Like you don't want to see this basement right now. This is clean. I'm surrounded by every type of operating system, hardware. I've got Windows, I've got MacBooks and tablets and everything. But I'm a little bit of a nutlet. I just love tech. And even this, that's why I'm prefacing from someone who loves tech, I'll tell people sometimes you just do it with your own hands. It makes
That's
sense,
true.
right? Some things you don't because it doesn't make sense anymore, right? And that's some of the areas that we're going to get into. Like, what are some of the things you need to do where you really don't want to do it the old-fashioned way? So, for
Okay, so let's
example,
get into it.
let's start off. So, as we're talking about the tools you need to consider to start a business, why don't you walk us through, from your perspective, some of the key steps or challenges or opportunities or things you need to do when you're about to start a business or starting a business, and then we'll dive into 1, 2, 3 step by step.
So I think one of the first issues and challenges I see people facing are finding product market fit. So a lot of startups struggle to identify and actually like validate their target market to ensure that their product is meeting the needs of the customers now, but also like sustainably in the long term. I think that they are not getting their hands on the right insights in the right order in order to validate and scale quickly, which is what you need to do.
Absolutely agree. I'll add to, I see this a lot, and I hear talk about product market fit. I don't hear nearly as much talk about problem solution that precedes the product being built.
Right.
So the product is like the hammer in the example. What market does it fit in? I'm not saying you can't do it that way.
Right.
I'm saying that it makes things significantly more difficult when you go around with a pre-built product looking to figure out, who am I going to market this to?
That's fair.
Right? And a lot of people find themselves as like bright, shiny object syndrome. Oh, I really want to do this. This is super cool. They don't talk to anyone. Heads down, stealth mode. They're building 3 months, 6 months. Has anyone seen this? No. Has anyone used it besides yourself? No. The insights you're talking about, right? And you're like, okay, well, it's not something that is a colossal problem because the person or people who do this, there's lots of them. It's not to say that you can't grow your business. You can't work with that. But ideally, if you haven't gone and built something, you still have an idea in your head, you should still get some insights and validate, hey, I see a problem, or I think there's a problem, or maybe I personally have a problem. Does anyone else have that problem as well? And no,
That's
don't
true.
talk to cousin Jimmy, right?
No family and friends.
Right? You can, but not exclusively. So you really need to figure out who else has this problem out there. Is the pool of people who have this problem large enough to build a solution for where you can monetize it, make money off of it? The next most important question, if you do that, before you race and go build it, is if you provide a solution, are they willing to pay for it? And
That's
many
true.
people falsely assume, oh, I found lots of people with a problem, so I built this. Hold on a second. But is it a problem enough that they'll pay for a solution or anywhere near the price you want to pay for it? I'll give you a perfect example. People can relate. I hate cleaning my house. I don't like vacuuming and dusting and doing all the kind of chores within my house. Everyone has a problem. I have a problem. You all have a problem. Great. I have a solution. I'm going to build a robot and I'm going to put them in everyone's house. Would you want a robot? Yeah. And you want a robot? Oh, everybody wants a robot in their house to do their laundry, to fold their clothes, to mop the floor, vacuum. Great. Let's run and build a robot. Stop. Are people willing to pay for a robot? Yes. Go run. No, wait, still stop. How much do you think it's going to cost you with the technology today to build a robot? Elon Musk has built Optimus, right? It's going to be expensive. There's one sitting in the local store by me, so I met Optimus in person. He wants to have it, I think I heard, under 30,000. Very unlikely, my professional opinion, that it's going to be under $30,000 to buy, and that's going to be able to do all the things they want it to do.
Right.
Anytime soon, right? So although you might have a problem and everyone else has it, and you're like, I'm going to create a product that everybody wants and they're willing to pay for, if you know through some basic research that the cost to build it is going to exceed their budget to buy it, then you stop.
Right.
Right? So these are the pre-work that ideally needs to be done. If you skip one or some of these steps, you're not lost. We just need to wheel things back a little bit and check off some boxes with some of the tools you're going to talk about that are around insights, around research, around understanding a statistically significant sample size. Takeaway is,
So I would love to tell you how I would solve this problem using AI and then maybe get your feedback in real time for anyone listening. Okay. So the approach that I would take, and I'm going to keep this kind of uniformed instead of giving a specific example. That way it's a little bit more beneficial. Let's just say I want to start, I want to create a product, right? I'm going to start a company and I'm going to create a product. The first thing that I would do when I have an idea of what I want to start is I would go figure out where those people are at, right? And I would use SurveyMonkey, and I would create an online survey, and I would give them some rewards. So maybe I work with Amazon, and everybody that fills this reward out gets a $10 Amazon card, just so that way it's random. Maybe I plan on selling my tool on Amazon, so I already want to get real-time feedback on this and validate my product market fit. And all I'm doing is capping it at 50 people and giving them a $10 or $5 Amazon card. And I'm going to give them an online survey, targeting my potential customer and asking them for responses, insights, customer needs, like preferences, pain points, and then have them actually gauge the pain point on a level of like 1 to 5, and maybe even ask them like, what are you willing to do to solve that pain point? And then after I do that, I would pull something in like Crimson Hexagon, for example, which would monitor like the social media channels and the forums on like Reddit and all the other places that I probably have no idea that exist, just to further validate and understand my target market and discuss the problems and solutions that they are currently seeking while I'm building. So that way, as far as product market goes, I'm doing it pre-launch, and I'm doing it during multiple iterations of building out this tool, so that if I need to adapt what I'm doing, I can adapt without screwing up everything and waiting, to your point, to put my head down, build it, and then come out on the other side with a tool that maybe doesn't work, maybe does work. And then the final stage would be like test messaging, right? So I would test my product messaging on Google ads, LinkedIn ads, maybe Facebook if that's where my demographic is. But I would use AI to analyze the engagement of all of that collectively to see which messages specifically work. So like I would A/B test certain copies so that once I figure out what my product is, how much people want to pay for it, how much of a pain point is, then I would want to advertise some copy and just get the ball rolling and be able to test what people are responding to a little bit better. That's what I would do.
Okay. And 2 things I'm going to ask you for the benefit of those listening who are not in this space.
Yes.
A lot of people talk about A/B copy, but if you're not in the field, they don't know what A or B is. It might as well be C, D, E, F, or G.
Okay. So
can you elaborate?
Yes, that's fair. So A/B copy is when you put a message out and you say it in 2 different ways. So if I was trying to sell Optimus, I don't even know what Optimus does, because this I am not your product market fit for this.
Right now, he folds laundry sometimes.
Okay. I hate laundry, but like not enough to spend $30,000, right? So, but if I was trying to market this product, God, that's awful. Maybe my first ad copy says, never want to fold laundry again, we have a cure for you. And then my second ad copy that is selling the exact same product says, you will never have to fold laundry again with this tool. It's the same exact product. I'm trying to market on the same channel, but I'm using 2 different types of wording just to see what appeals to people more. So like maybe one's more aggressive than the other one. There's a variation so that I can gauge what people respond to better.
Yeah, that works. You pepper in some humor too, right?
Exactly.
Hey, this robot folds it. Your kids mold it. Look what happened. My 3-year-old tried to fold the laundry. Mommy, I made a penguin.
This is real, by the way.
Yeah, like,
that's happened.
That was wet. Now it's dry, right? I think that's going back in the machine. Just like at the resort, it's a swan. Daddy, your silk dress shirt. Look, it's a swan.
And you have to be happy because you're the parent.
And you're like, are you tired of this? How about Optimus?
There you go.
Sometimes not being creative is a good thing when it comes to folding your laundry.
There we go.
Leave the creativity to your children. Buy Optimus today.
They should really hire you for their marketing.
Tesla, do you hear me?
That's how I'd handle it.
That's good. The other piece is, you said a word. I'm going to ask you to elaborate on it too. Many people don't really know what copy is. When they hear copy, if you're a copywriter or a ghostwriter or a marketer, great. Otherwise, copy is Control-C on my keyboard, followed by paste.
It's storytelling. It's how you tell the story of your product to the people, because ultimately how you tell your story ends up becoming your brand, and then your brand reputation, and then you can build off of that. But until you have your story down pat and why this product exists and the mission behind it, then you don't have anything. You don't have a full product.
Okay. So the difference between just writing and copywriting is to persuade someone to take an action, to influence them, to
Exactly.
educate them about specific products or services.
Yes, that's it.
Right. It's funny how they call it copywriting, more than the history of it, but product marketing rating, I don't know. All right. So first part. So you talked about Crimson Hexagon. That's really cool. People haven't heard. Recap. That was one of the things I actually talked about. Crimson Hexagon. Interesting name. It's like color and geometric, right? Like red, six-sided figure.
Yep.
Interesting
Like stop.
mascots. Yeah.
Stop. Analyze before you continue.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, stop, analyze, like the red.
That's why they did it.
Stop sign. Right. There you go. Right. So we talked about Crimson Hexagon. We talked about the first kind of challenge in the tool. What's the next one?
What's the next problem that they run into? I would say probably managing limited resources. So like they're operating with limited financial and human resources. So like it's hard to do everything, and it's hard to do everything well. So like just resource constraints in general, slowing down growth and leading to burnout. That's what I would say is the second problem. Would you agree?
Absolutely. The multiple hats we talked about usually doesn't lead to an 8-hour day split into 1-hour roles. It usually ends up being 6-hour day times 5 roles and not sleeping.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, it's really just prioritization. So like the way you would solve that is just to like use Asana and Trello, for example, right? Because people just need to know, people need something that keeps them on track. So like, what do I need to prioritize with tasks? What, how can I automate my workflows? How can I optimize my productivity? Because we already know that it's scarce. So like throughout the life cycle of your startup, especially while you're starting it and scaling it, what are some tools that you can use? And I would say Trello and Asana.
Asana and Trello. Okay, so those are good tips to help you be more organized, to help you prioritize your time.
Yeah. Even if you don't have like full-time employees, because if you start a startup and you have full-time employees, like hats off to you, but I don't know very many that do. So you probably have a lot of different contractors coming in. You have, some part-time workers here and there. You probably have some friends and family helping.
And there's a second suggestion idea, and you covered it in one of your last videos. What do you think about this? I don't know. What do you think about that? Yes. I got a great idea. What's your idea?
Yes.
Your two cell phones talking, simulating a board. Yes. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, it's free, right? Like everyone's got access to it. ChatGPT it can be on your phone as an application. So as I'm bouncing all these ideas back and forth, like, yeah, sure, I can run downstairs and talk to my husband, who's probably like juggling a toddler, 2 dogs, and a cat, and doesn't have like the brain power to answer me questions right now. Or I can be like, hey, I'm going to pull up 2 phones and I'm going to run a board meeting, and I'm going to have this ChatGPT app play the role of a marketer by just saying, hey, you're a marketer. Here's what we care about. Here's the advice you're going to contribute to this call. Bring up another phone and be like, hey, you're the sales dev person. Here's what you're going to do during this call. And then I get feedback from 2 different perspectives. By the way, that's purely data and no emotion, which is even better. And then I'm just bouncing ideas off of myself, but with 2 applications. It's great. I don't have to go anywhere. I can do it right from here. I could transcribe those pieces of feedback if I wanted to and have it email me a note. Like, let's talk about productivity savings.
So really helping with like brainstorming, getting different perspectives, which I like. A lot of people don't realize there's a little microphone in the input window in ChatGPT. People have been using it months, and they think they only have to text. And I've actually pointed to it a few times. They went, oh, I didn't know you could do it. I'm like, just hit it and talk, and it turns into text. Oh, really good. Of those people, they used to call it Whisper, right? ChatGPT, like it was referred to as Whisper. I mean, now it's just the microphone button. But talking back, can you elaborate that for those listening? So a lot of people, some don't know you can talk. Of the ones who do know you can talk, I know a lot of them don't realize that it can talk back.
Yeah, it's just, this is it. This is all it looks like. So and then all you have to do is click on the headphones.
So when it gives an answer back, you click on the headphones.
That's it. Yeah.
That's simple.
That's it. So I can say, hey, I'm in a board meeting right now and I really need a marketing perspective. Can you step in and provide marketing feedback based on our conversation? And then it thinks.
Absolutely. I can help with that. What's the specific context or issue you'd like feedback on in the board meeting?
That's it.
And we're going to call it pink circle in line with crimson hexagon because there's pink circles there, right?
Or like green circle because green means go. So it's like talk.
Did you try the pink circle solution, otherwise known as the headset symbol in ChatGPT?
I mean, it's pretty like it's crazy the amount of resources that we have. I just feel like people get overwhelmed because we have so many resources that they don't know how to like differentiate which ones work and which ones don't.
So you're talking about here are 100 AI tools you can use to transform your life. Yes. And someone goes, that's really cool. Squirrel.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's just too many. It's like, you know, the old school phrase of like, you go into an ice cream shop and if there's 4 flavors of ice cream, you're like, cool, this is great. Like strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, and maybe let's get crazy with some Rocky Road. And you're like, I can make this decision. But then you go into an ice cream store and there's 20 flavors and you're like, what? Like, I don't even know. I forgot what flavor I liked. Maybe I like this one, but there's so many options that I'm just freezing.
It's true. I mean, there's a reason why everyone gets like pistachio in a gelato shop, not just because it tastes good, right? Because that's what they know. They're used to. They look for, like, where's the pistachio one? Oh, all these are the great flavors. I don't like them. Have you tried them? No, but I don't like them.
Right.
Right. So too many decisions isn't a good thing. And always people tend to gravitate towards the familiar. So with tools, you're essentially saying, hey, look, I'm not going to give you 40 tools or 30 tools or 10 tools. You're already overwhelmed with the massive amounts of noise out there around AI and Gen AI and 5,000 different tools to make your life easier, from, you know, how to find a recipe to host a board meeting. But people don't even know where to start. Like decision fatigue is a real thing. Too many choices become nothing happens. Not enough choice and people feel like they're too constrained, right?
Yes.
To your point, like 1, 2, maybe 3 tops, and you choose your best, right? There's a reason why you go to a coffee shop at small, medium, and large, and not size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What size do you want? I'm going to get a can of Coke. But I've got into many coffee shops that like coffee too. And they'll say, how many milks? Right? 1 milk, 2 milk, 3 milks. The little packages they poured it. That's where it came from, like the Tim Hortons and things where you pour open 1 milk, 2 milk, 3 milk. A lot of places stop using that, especially like the Starbucks and, you know, cafe style. It wasn't about just like we have almond milk and oat milk and specialty things, right? So they say, how many splashes do you want? So Starbucks starts out with splashes: 1 splash, 2 splash, 3 splash. And I said to them, look, I like your products. There's an opportunity here though. What's a splash to me is not the same as a splash to Ashley.
Right.
Because you tip.
Expectations.
How much do you tip on the angle? How long do you hold the tip for? Variation is your worst enemy in the world of customer service, right? Customization, what you're striving for. I know that's why you're doing it, to customize, but you can customize and standardize it the same way. Customize and standardize equals a good experience. Customize with no standardization equals not. Because I go in and Sally's working today and 1 splash tastes like this, and Jim's working tomorrow and 1 splash tastes very different because Bill's, or Jim, or whatever we're calling him, is busier and goes like this and turns around and there's 3 cups of milk in it. Now it's cold.
Yeah, that actually brings me to my third reason why I feel like startups have a hard time starting. And it's not the milk. But just retention and acquisition, just like attracting and keeping customers, I think is a major challenge, which is what you were talking about. You have to give a uniformed product and experience to all these people, because if you start personalizing it one-on-one, then the expectations are all out of whack and it's impossible for you to actually manage, especially when you're like competing with other established brands. Like you have to build that loyal customer base quickly and hopefully with like low overhead, like so no extravagant costs and being quick on time.
Well, yeah, that's actually an advantage for small businesses because the larger companies have already scaled to a certain degree. They have to average what they do because they need a standard. But of that standard, some people are going to love it. A lot of people will. Some people will like it. Some people will dislike it. And so if you capitalize on the flexibility and speed of being a startup, you can identify a portion of that body that maybe is neutral, okay with it, make them absolutely delighted with what you're doing, that they can't copy because it'll mess with their standard.
Right.
Carve out that niche, dominate the niche. You'll still be feeding yourself enough from a revenue perspective, not so much that they're going to notice or care about you yet or try and compete with you.
Right.
And then you're going to get to the point when you have successfully done that, when you've saturated that niche. That's usually a time when a larger corporation, a private equity firm, comes to you and says, I want to buy that. I want to buy what you've built now, because it's not large enough to scare me. But if you keep going in this direction, one pivot and replicate your formula, your model in a second related niche that's part of my pie, I'm okay when you took a bite out of one slice.
Right.
Now
Now you
you've
want the
got a
whole pie.
whole slice. And I'm still okay, but you're starting to worry me because you managed to take a whole slice of my pizza. And I see you're well positioned to take another slice from a different pizza of mine. That's usually when the bigger players come in and go, before they even think or try or execute on that, here's a get lost offer.
Right.
Right? I will buy you in many cases just to stop you from eating my pizza.
Yep.
I don't want to use the device you're using to eat my pizza. I just want it to stop eating it.
Right.
So I'm going to buy you and shelf you. The second thing to look at doing is buying your business and integrating into theirs, taking it out, right? Like taking all these certain pieces out of a car and going, I don't want this, I don't want the seat, I don't want this. Oh, but I want the radio, I want this. And they'll integrate into theirs and they'll throw the rest out, right? And then the third thing they'll do is they'll take it and they'll just park it in their portfolio and say, just you stay there as part of the deal for 2 or 3 years and we'll decide what we want to do with this. But at least now we're in control.
Yep.
Because you answer to us.
Well, and to your point too, small businesses can innovate faster because they have less red tape and just less people in general. And it's just, it is what it is. But like, it's easier to move faster when you're scrappy and you're small because there's just less people, internal stakeholders that need to sign off on it. But you also have to be in a million places at once. So if I was to come in with, a generative AI strategist hat on and say, okay, you need to personalize your marketing campaigns and segment audiences and optimize ad spend and be everywhere to everyone. And you need to do it through automation. I would say my 2 hard and fast AI tools that I would recommend, which aren't even fully AI tools, they just have AI features that are really good, would be HubSpot or Marketo. Just any CRM that has AI features so that at any point in time, you can go to someone's LinkedIn and say, oop, that is definitely a potential customer. You throw them in one of those CRMs, right? And then you start using their AI features to generate emails, generate landing pages, everything personalized so that when they eventually come click on your site or your social media channel and they go to your website, they're like, wow, all of this messaging is like exactly what I want to hear. And you're like, I know, it's like we were made for you. And really, like it was just a bunch of automation tools learning about them from their social media channels and giving them that experience that they wanted. But they don't know that.
I like that. Crimson, I mean, stop for a second. CRM.
Yeah.
We tend to use a lot of jargon and acronyms all the time. Well, they're good because it makes talking easier. Not everyone knows what a CRM stands for. And if they're listening, they're probably not going to Google it or check it out online. So if I'm, say, a developer.
Yes.
And I know about Flask and Docker and AWS and GCP. I might be like, oh, yeah, I know about a CRM, but I don't use it. I don't really know what it is or why it's of value, but I own a company.
Okay.
In layman's terms, what is a CRM and what value does it provide? Because HubSpot and Marketo, you're talking about CRM solutions.
Yeah. A CRM is quite literally a customer relationship management tool.
Which in layman's terms?
It means it helps you manage the relationships with your prospective customers and your actual customers. That's it.
Okay.
It stores all of their data and it helps you figure out what to do with that data.
So it has their name, it has their email address.
Exactly.
It has little note sections for comments about them. It helps you set up emails and automated email sequences to send them
Yep.
messages and updates. Statuses on if they're actually a client or they're not a client or they're about to be a client, the revenue coming in from each of them, right?
Yep.
That's a CRM in a nutshell. So you're saying,
it.
hey, I recommend HubSpot, Marketo, easy entry points to the market. You don't need to have an enterprise budget to step into those tools. And the learning curve is relatively short.
Yes. Yeah. And I would use it, from launch to growth. And then, add on top of those customer relationship management tools, maybe you add Zendesk or Intercom, right? So then you have a little chatbot interface on your website so that, guess what? Even when you're sleeping at 2 a.m., if a customer randomly comes to your website because they're curious about this laundry folding robot, they can ask it a quick question and they're going to get an answer immediately. Because what happens when you're curious about something, but your needs are not met right away? Eventually you stop caring. And put that on a large scale, that's a lot of prospective customers that you can't afford to lose. So that's like the way that you actually make sure that you're everywhere all at the same time. And then Intercom lets you actually like interact with them and figure out where the hurdles are. So I can look at their user experience and say, okay, the last 9 people that were interacting with my chatbot on my website were asking me about my company and more specifically, like what the refund policy was. Obviously, I need to go to my website and make sure that's more crystal clear so that this is not the same friction point over and over again. It allows you to figure out what the data patterns are so that you can proactively fix the problems before they happen. Again, you're everywhere all the time.
Pretty cool. A couple of points on that I've seen. One, I've heard people say, I'm in America. My business is open from 9 to 5. So I've got support 9 to 5, but I don't need to be open or available past then. People can wait to the next day. You see, the challenge with that mentality is thanks to companies like Amazon, we now live in a I want it now, need it now. Yep. This whole concept of, it used to be 48 hours and 24 hours, then same day, then 3 hours, right? People don't like to wait. Overall, the level of patience people have is getting shorter and shorter.
It's
even business owners, potential purchasers, right? For whatever you're selling. I had this idea in my head. I have this challenge. I want an answer. Now I'm looking. Oh, your website doesn't have the answer. I move on to the next one. So there's something to be said about being open 24/7, which these tools allow you to be.
Yeah.
Now, the next challenge in relation to those tools that I hear people talk about is, well, Matt, but it doesn't really answer enough questions. Now, the point you mentioned is a great one because those tools, when you turn them on, yes, open the door, get inside. They're not a magic wand. It doesn't mean they're not powerful. Where I'm going with this is, like anything else, if you don't set it up properly, it's not going to work properly. If you come home and you plug in an alarm clock and you don't set the time, you can't complain the time's always wrong. Though it says 12 a.m., it's just flashing. This does not work as a clock. My chatbot says, I don't understand the question. I'll have the answer. It's not working. Where did they offer a matrix experience to plug into your head and download what's in your brain? Nowhere.
Right.
How are they supposed to know how you want it to respond? Well, they say it's an AI tool. I'm like, AI doesn't mean godlike.
No, it's literally meant to predict the next word.
Learning, basic learning, right? And so on those tools, and it's not too hard because I've used them myself. Say Intercom, for example, you can actually create a process map behind the scenes. If this, then that. If this, then that. And all these sequences. And then based on insights of what you've shared, hey, people tend to ask about refund policy a lot. Yes, you can update the section of your website. And you can teach that little bubble in the bottom to give them the answer to the refund question.
Yep.
And when people go, oh, I didn't realize you could do it, I'm like, that is the real power. But you only get out of these tools to a certain degree what you put into the tools.
No, it's
so true. Like I tell people, remind yourself, the alarm clock doesn't set its own time. Oh, yes, I know there's atomic clocks and they set their own time. But the average alarm clock does not set its own time. The average tool you use when you're starting your business, growing your business, doesn't set up itself. It doesn't configure itself. You invest a little bit of energy up front to make it work the way you want, need, and you'll reap the rewards indefinitely.
Yep.
But you got to put the initial time up front, right? There's no real one magic wand where I just go, here's my credit card and poof, set up the CRM for me. That's what consultants are for.
So that's where I was going. I literally about to just say a cautionary tale is, you might not want to set this up now, but I can promise you, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me, because I know we've both been brought into multiple businesses to address these issues. If you don't take the time to set up the foundation of your customer relationship manager, you're going to have to rely on third-party tools. You're going to have even more inaccurate data information. And then at some point in time, it's going to be so astronomically expensive that you have to just halt operations for a week or bring in a team of experts that are going to cost you a pretty penny so that you can continue to operate to fix the data problem that you have. So if you just set it up from the beginning, then you're setting yourself up for success to actually scale your business.
Yes. And also on that point, if as a business owner, founder, you personally have the knowledge and experience to build a chat-like experience into your site, if that's not what you're in the business of doing, don't do it.
Right.
Don't spend a day, an hour, a minute trying to do something that's not your core business. Your time is more valuable. Take that same energy, invest in what you're offering, what you're selling, the product or service, versus trying to save $15 a month and replicate what someone spent a few $1 million over 5 years building by trying to hack it together because I'm a coder. It's not about what you can and can't do. It's about how much effort and what you're going to get out of it. It's the whole build versus borrow approach. Borrow, license stuff you need, but that's not your core. Build the stuff that is your core.
Yeah.
And that's a big challenge for business owners starting off. They want to do everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm smart enough, I'm capable enough, I have the resource. I'm like, yes to all those questions, but no, don't do it.
Right.
But I want to. Don't.
You cannot be good at all of those things. It's just not possible. You need to pick what you want to be good at and what is going to drive the most impact for your business. And that's where you focus your actual time.
Yeah, those tools like you mentioned, like Trello, for example, right? Go mind dump. Take all the things you want to do, put it on there. When you prioritize it, all those things are not your core business. Think like an Eisenhower matrix. What do you do? What do you defer? What do you delete? And what do you delegate?
Right.
Right? You delegate to tools to other companies. It's not just to other persons. Some people don't think of that with the Eisenhower matrix. Like, oh, what person? I can't delegate to another person. No, you delegate this to a company. I don't build the CRM. I delegate this to HubSpot.
Right.
I don't build an insight tool. I delegate it to Crimson.
Right.
Hexagon. Right? So the delegate part, right? And some of those things too, when you're delegating, you just delegate to some of these automation tools, which we don't have time to get into right now, but the in-between stuff, you don't have to build scripts and bots to do everything. You can use no-code tools to connect all these other tools so you have a consistent experience and you don't have all these different tools not talking to each other.
Exactly. I feel like we gave them a lot of knowledge in this section.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, if anyone's listening and they just loved this to death, where can they find you?
Where can they find me?
Where can they find you?
Sounds ominous. Where can they find me?
Where can they track you down?
I'll be at the Starbucks and try to convince them a grande is a small for Ashley. Or I'll be at the Tesla store trying to convince Elon that he's got to drop some screws to lower the price.
These are uphill battles, both of them.
I don't know how good that's going to work out. Or, actually, I sent this opinion over. I said, put markers, black lines, fill lines in the cup to say coffee to line 1, milk to line 2, 3, or 4. And you standardize the experience by printing those lines in the cup and all of a sudden the orders become faster, your margins become wider. You're already printing on the cups. You just, in your designs that are in the print for the wrap before you seal them, you have the lines built into your design, whether it's the red cup, the green cup, whoever you are, whatever coffee company. Come on, 2024, fill lines in the cups. Coffee
You just gave
to
somebody
1,
an idea.
milk 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if you're a cup manufacturer, sell this to your clients. Charge them 10 cents more a cup for the fill lines printed on it, and show them how much money it's going to save them with over pouring, under pouring, return cups, poured out cups, just by having some of the simplest solutions are the easiest ones.
It's true.
Right?
People like to recreate the wheel though, and we're always taught, like very young, don't recreate the wheel.
Yeah.
You don't need to. If you don't need to, don't do it.
There's so many, sayings about it, right? Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Kind of half true. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of value to get out of, talks like this. And, if you want more tools, Ashley's got a whole tool belt full of things that can help you with your business. It's like a utility belt, right? Like that woman. Something like grappling hook. It's like Marketo, Crimson Hexagon.
It's like my superpower. I'm like, here you go.
Like the villains are the problems. You just like throw the hexagon at one problem, right?
I'm gonna go get that trademarked.
Right?
Create a
You
comic
walk around
book for it.
stickers at a conference, and people are like, "How am I going to remember you?" You go HubSpot and stick a spot on them. HubSpot, 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 HubSpot. Great marketing. That's an idea for HubSpot, right? Have stickers, and someone's like, "How do I get in touch with you? Do I send you like a LinkedIn connection request? Put me in HubSpot. Put me in HubSpot. HubSpot."
That's a great marketing idea, honestly. Just like walking around.
Walk around and everyone's got the orange spots on them with the logo.
They've been marked.
Right? Yeah. And then just have a booth in the center of a conference.
You've been spotted.
Yeah, called the Hub. And everyone, like, the marketers there go and stick everyone and be like, "You've been spotted. Come to the Hub. This is where everyone stays." And they're like, "Wow." And you start off like 100 people walking with spots. What's the spot? Oh, wear a spot on your shoulder, get a cup of coffee or whatever at the conference. You got to spot the coffee.
So for anybody working for a company that has to go to these retail shows, you're welcome. Q4 and Q1 are coming up, and there's your idea, and it's free of charge.
Oh, yeah. And then on the cup, you could print like, "Meet me at the Hub at 12 for a special talk." And they're walking around the cups that all say, "Meet me at 12 at the Hub." And there's a center of the conference, the Hub, and everyone's walking around with stickers. "How'd you get the sticker?" "I got the coffee." "What's in the coffee?" "There's a talk at 12 by the CEO of HubSpot right there at the Hub." Oh, wait, did we just simulate what HubSpot is in a real life environment?
Yes, you did.
It's like a real life metaverse, right?
Yeah.
We're living in the app.
This is amazing.
And that's a drop.
That's it. That's all. That's how we're going to end it.
Or that's the matter of fact.
Oh. Matt, thank you for your time. Seriously, you're like an encyclopedia. You just know everything.
No, honestly, I don't. I know a little bit about a lot. It was always a pleasure talking to you. Lots of fun. And maybe we'll have another one. Stay tuned. Let us know what you think in the comments, wherever the video is going to be. We can point in the directions. Subscribe, share, repost, retweet, requack, wherever you're on, whatever you're looking. Right? Exit, tweet it, snap it, flick it, flop it, dab it, dop it, drop it, flip it, flop it. Right? You can rap through it, right? For all those apps that you might see this in now or in the future, I'm sure we've used a verb that relates to sharing the video. So do us a favor, click, comment, and do the dance.
Thank you all for watching.
Take care.